of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission. It is Monday, February 22nd, 2021. We are meeting on Zoom. We will begin with item
You are
1.
being recorded, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Tira. We will begin with a roll call. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, present.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, present.
Mr. Nelson.
Christopher Nelson, present.
Ms. Chattel.
Chattel, present.
Mr. Lenke.
He's here. John B. Lincoln, present.
Mr. Krogel.
Mike Krogel, present.
Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, present.
Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois, present.
Mr. Blackmer.
He's still connecting.
Okay. And Joseph Perotti Brown. We will seat Alvin Hill for John Rice, Dave Poplawski for Missy DeRogers, and Brian Santos for Bob Werge. Mr. Blackmer, are you present?
He's got to unmute.
That better?
Yes. Thank you, Randy. Okay, item 2, public hearing. There is none. Item 3, discuss public hearing and possible action. None. Item 4, approve minutes. We'll begin with the December 28th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the December 28th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
And Mr. Lenke moves to accept the minutes of the December 28th, 2020 meeting,
I'll second them.
seconded by Mr. Nelson. Any discussion? Hearing none, it will be yes to approve, no to deny. Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill, yes.
Robin Hill, yes. Mr. Santos.
I abstain. I was absent.
Mr. Santos abstains. Mr. Nelson.
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Mr. Nelson, yes. Ms. Chattel.
I abstain. I wasn't present.
Christine Chattel abstains. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Mr. Lenke, yes. Mr. Krogel.
Mike Krogel abstains. I wasn't here for the whole meeting.
Mr. Krogel abstains. Mr. Poplawski.
Oh, you were for the whole meeting. It was the second meeting. You're talking
Poplawski abstained.
No, this is December's meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Krogel changes that to yes, and I was here for December.
Okay, Mr. Krogel changes his vote to yes for the December 28th approval. Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski abstained.
Mr. Poplawski abstains. Ms. Langlois.
Yes.
Ms. Langlois, yes. Mr. Blackmer.
Yes.
Mr. Blackmer, yes. And Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The minutes are approved. January 25th, 2021, Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion for the January 25th, 2021 meeting.
To
I'll
approve,
second
Mr.
that.
Lenke? So Mr. Lenke moves to approve the minutes of the January 25th, 2021 meeting, and I believe it was Mr. Santos who seconded.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, it's yes to approve the regular meeting minutes of January 25th, 2021. No to deny approval. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, yes.
Ms. Chattel.
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Lenke.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Mr. Krogel.
Mike Krogel abstains.
Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Ms. Langlois.
Yes.
Mr. Blackmer.
Andy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes.
I have to abstain.
I'm sorry. I missed you, Mr. Nelson.
That's okay. I have to abstain.
Nelson
It's fine.
abstains. So that's 2 abstentions and 8 yes to approve. January 28th, 2021, Planning and Zoning Commission special meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, again, third man in a row here. I'll make the motion for the special January 28, 2021 special meeting.
Mr. Lenke moves to approve the minutes of the special meeting of January 28th, 2021.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Poplawski seconds. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, before you go to the vote, may I point out that only 4 people were in attendance. 3 of them are here. So if you want to skip all the abstentions and just ask Alvin, John, and Dave what their votes are, that might save you a minute.
Yeah, no,
And Brian, I've got Brian on the minutes as well.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, as much as I have a busy schedule, I don't think I attended that meeting.
No, you did not, Brian. That was John Rice, Alvin, John Lenke, and Dave.
Mr. Lenke, given that information, would you care to?
Yes, I'll make an amendment that we exclude that gentleman that lives on Hackstrom Road there, whatever his name is.
Thanks, John.
And Mr. Poplawski, will you second the motion as amended?
I second that motion amended.
Okay, the motion as amended is to approve the minutes of the January 28th, 2021 special meeting with the deletion of Brian Santos as a present member. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes. Yes.
Mr. Lenke,
John B. Lenke, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Poplawski, yes.
and without objection, we'll enter all other votes as abstentions. Hearing no objection, the remaining commissioners abstain from voting on these minutes. Item 5, applications. Application PZC 21-01, Lisa M. Audette, property owner, 3 Jason Heights, map 87, block 53, lot 88A1, zone RRAD, childcare facility, site plan review.
You want to put up my memo, Tara, please?
Yep. Give me a second. Oh, which one's the memo?
You just had it there.
Yeah,
Yep,
I've got
right
it.
there. Okay, so they're applying for a permit with commission site plan review. It's child daycare, which is permitted in agricultural RRAD. And I took a look, there's the definition of child care center. They fit that definition.
Cindy, may I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
So the property isn't Jason Heights, is it?
No, it's
Where
not.
does-
It's Robbins Road.
Right, it's right on the corner of Robbins Road and 193.
Right.
I did it again. Yeah, I picked up the wrong address. I apologize. Thank you, Joe.
Okay, that's all right, thank you. Continue, sorry to interrupt.
You're only human.
Yeah. Okay, so I took a look at the attached site plans and they comply with the Article 3A, Section 4 application requirements. B, zoning permit with site plan review by the commission. Note 3, the impermeable surfaces to lot size is less than 50%, and which is what is the regulated for that area. Lighting is delineated on the page 1 of the site plans. Flood zone, it's not in the flood zone area. Site plans outlines the implementation of these soil and erosion control plans, and they have the plans there. Then let's see what else. Stormwater management, they have, that's planned as you got in your package. Parking standards are fine. They have the 1 handicap, which they needed. They have the Northeast Department of Health approval. I sent you the minutes in your packet, but today I got the Inland Wetlands Commission approval. So I do have that in their record. And okay. All right, following in the amended regulations. I should read, oh, yes, okay. The regulations read wrong, so that's just something that I wanted to make sure I pointed out so that when we go over the review of the regulations, that we change that in the book.
Okay, so those are just typos, Cindy?
Typos in the book,
Or-
yes.
Yeah, incorrect, obviously incorrect. Yeah, okay.
Right, exactly.
That's easy
Yep.
to fix.
Yeah. I just wanted to put it in there so that we remember to do it.
No, that's a
So-
good call.
Yep, so Janet is here, if you want, and the applicant is here, so if you want to ask them any questions, or Janet, do you have anything to say?
Well, if the commission has any questions, if you put up the PDF of the site plan, I'd be happy to answer them or give you, a little more description of what Lisa Audette proposes.
It'll take me a minute to pull that up, so if you want to talk amongst yourselves in the meantime.
Okay.
I've got to go back and find the packet.
Yeah, I've just got a question, I think, for curiosity more than anything. I'm looking at the driveway.
Yeah.
And I'm just, the entrance is a 22-foot entrance. And the exit is, it looks like 16 feet, is that right?
That sounds right. The reason why I made the entrance wider is because that's where cars can pull over to drop off their children. So it still gives more room for other cars to continue through.
Great, that was exactly what I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
I was sure there was a reason that made sense. Thanks, Janet.
I think I have the right one here. Is that the right one, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Joe was correct. This is the property at the intersection of Route 193 and Robbins Road. Actually, just off the sheet to the left is 395. So Lisa proposes a 2,400 square foot childcare facility with 8 parking spaces. It's going to be kind of an agricultural barn-looking building with a wooden post fence around the perimeter so that, the kids are secure and can't run out into the road. We did design a lot of low impact development aspects into the project using sheet flow. We avoided development on the steep slopes. There's crushed stone filter strips, rain barrels, and a bioretention area in the parking lot. She's also proposing a trail to kind of the back field on the left-hand side of the property, which it's kind of an overgrown field right now, but then she can do some outdoor education with the children, plant some fruit trees. And that did involve a wetland crossing, and that was approved by the Wetlands Commission earlier this month. So I believe that this meets all the requirements of the new zoning regulations. I think it's a great location for this use. It'll be a good amenity to the citizens of Thompson. It can always use another good quality daycare. So if you have any questions, Lisa and I are both here to answer them.
Thank you, Janet.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Janet.
Mr. Hill.
Janet, is that a single story just with a walkout basement?
Yes.
Second question. Given the space, I'm just curious, just out of my own curiosity, is how many children and what age groups?
So
I'm going to let Lisa answer that question.
yeah, so license wise, we'll probably be licensed for more than we'll ever have in that building based on what the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood can license for. Our goal is to have no more than 32 students there and 8 staff members. So it's a total of 40 beings in the building. And the age group that we plan on having here is a preschool, so age 3 to 6.
3 to 6.
Yep.
What type of safety measures in terms of, given that road, Robbins Road and the
Yeah.
highway 193,
So,
knowing that they'll be well monitored, but what if
Yeah.
a child gets away and runs towards the road?
right, so
Any
that's why,
fencing?
yeah, that's why we have the fence all the way around. So that if you, it kind of outlines the fence all the way around the
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Yep. So
Yeah, I
if
see
anybody
that.
ever got out of that building, they can't go anywhere that's not, fenced in.
Good.
The state for ages over 3, when you're out in the free area, like if we went down to that lower field, it does not have to be fenced in. So it has to be fenced in where there's an immediate threat, which is your roads. So but
Right.
in that bottom field, because of the age groups of the kids, now if they were 2, they have to be fenced in regardless of where you are. But because of the age group, they're in smaller groups. So, state ratio for those kiddos are a 1-to-10 ratio, but ours is going to be a 1-to-6 because we plan on doing a lot of outdoor activities. So having that age group is key in order to kind of, teach children in a little bit more open space too. But anywhere here, because that is a busy road, that Robbins Road is all fenced in.
Yep. Any large trees on the site?
Not on that upper part, no.
This site was previously cleared in 2010, and actually a septic system and a well was installed for the former owner.
That's the end of my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hell.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a quick question.
Mr. Poplawski.
So and Cindy, maybe this is for you. Robbins Road, didn't we approve a split lot, and there was going to be a driveway coming out of Robbins Road on that from the field? It was being split right there. So I don't know where that driveway apron relates to their ingress and egress from the parking lot.
I have to be honest, Brian, I don't recall. I mean, but how recent was it?
It's Dave.
I'm so sorry, Dave.
That's all right. It was probably the fall of last year. It's no big deal. I think there was a split across the street. So I know that there was a pretty detailed engineered plan, and maybe Janet, that might have been yours too, Janet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Janet, do you remember that? Because I remember that too.
It's possible somebody else in my office worked on it, but right now there are no driveways near the proposed driveways, not across the street or to the south.
Yeah, no, there isn't yet, but I believe there's an approved, I think it was a split. There was something that went on over there where we saw engineered plans for it, and there was going to be a driveway opening over there. And I think there was I want to say there was like some retainage ponds or something, wasn't there, Brian, for the runoff, because it's coming down that slope, or just something to note. I'm just curious, something for you guys to know too, as you're, looking at this.
Yeah, thank you.
I can look it up, and when I send the letter with your decision, I can put the minutes or whatever what I find in the letter.
Yeah, it might be helpful for them. That's the only reason I bring it up, just to, because I know there was something going on over there.
Okay.
I didn't have time to research the past minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Poplawski. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Any other questions for the applicant or for Ms. Blanchette, the engineer?
I'd just like to give Janet credit where credit is due. I thought it was a pretty thorough application. Just wish there was a way to get it a little bigger so I could read it on the stuff that was sent to me. I'm still cross-eyed from looking at it.
I can make it bigger here while we're looking at it, Randy.
Well,
I got a magnifying glass for you. About that big.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Mr. Blackmore. I agree with thorough and complete application. Yeah. Any further questions from the commission or comments at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Santos moves the approval of application 21-01.
Randy Blackmer seconds.
Mr. Blackmer seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no further discussion, it will be a yes to approve, a no to deny. Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Santos,
Ryan Santos, yes.
Mr. Lanky,
John B. Lanky, yes.
Mr. Krogel,
Mike Krogel, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Thank you, Ms. Blanchett. Thank you, Ms. Dett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application PZC 21-05, site plan review, Gary Rawson, 0 Logie Road, property owners Gary and Ben Rawson, map 141, block 17, lot E, zone LD, new home construction on a town unaccepted road, approval permitted by the Planning and Zoning Commission according to Town of Thompson Ordinance Article 4, building on unaccepted streets, and section B1 and 2 gives the Planning Commission the option of issuing written permission for the building department.
Okay, so they're looking to build a home. There's setbacks are according to the zoning regulations in the Lake District. Frontage is not on accepted road. And again, this is like, I think, our fourth one in a year, third or fourth one, that you can go ahead and approve this. There's a house on the right side, if you're looking at that lot in the lake, there's a house on the right side, there's a house on the left side, all owned by the Rawsons, and that's a private road. And I think Gary's here. I saw Rawson on the list here. I believe that's a private road and is owned by the Rawsons. So they're here for questions. Or do you have any questions?
Thank you, Cindy. Mr. Santos.
This is going to be something I'll bring up in commissioners' comments, but it just seems like this comes up quite often, this unaccepted streets thing, and I'll have a few comments later on for the commission members about what we can do with that. But it's my general understanding, Gary, that you guys continue to maintain that road and plow the road and do chip seal and stuff like that down that street.
Yep. We chip seal it about every 10 years and we maintain it, plow it, cut brush, all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah. How many houses are on that street?
I'd say between 25 and 30 altogether.
And I thought I saw, Cindy, that the health department approved the septic being across the street, things of that nature.
Yes.
Yeah, and wetlands. Marla already looked at all that, right? I thought I saw something that Marla already looked at it. I thought she approved.
Yes. Oh, yes, she did. I apologize.
Yeah,
Marla did approve.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in the record.
Yep.
Should have written that down and. Yep, I have it right here, and I have the health department right here. Okay, there's the plans.
Yeah, so they issued an easement for all that. Is that what's happened here?
Yep.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
It's just not going to be anything unusual in that area.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions for the ZEO or for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, Alvin Hill has a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
I'm looking at the plans, Killing Engineering. I see no proposal how to cross that road for the septic system? I don't have any idea of the depth.
It's listed, I can see where the pipe is going right across Logie Road. There's a dotted line going right from the lot, right straight
Right,
across.
And you
it's
have to have a
right by
pitch,
the
but I
A.
mean,
Yeah,
Right by the D in road.
yeah.
And sorry, and so what we,
but there's no plan on there's no drawing showing how that's to be engineered or designed. I know it's just a single pipe, probably a 4-inch, but what depth?
I mean, it's really small, but they're all the depths are listed on there. And then all your depths are right on the right-hand side. It says septic tank.
Yeah, they're on the right
Distribution
there. Alvin, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's inverts to the right side there of the plan. It tells you in and outs.
You've got to move it so
There
they
you
can
go.
see it
There you
right
go.
there.
We really need a magnifying glass.
I can keep making this bigger.
Well, I see all of that, but I mean,
Right
You
on,
make it bigger, but you have to pull it over so that they can see the chart.
right,
Yeah,
No, I'm doing that. It's just the
Yeah.
screen's jumping.
Mr. Hill,
okay.
where you see the little square box on the bottom there, onto the right, on the bottom a little bit, and where you see the black arrow pointing to the
Mhm.
3 black lines, which would probably be the finger leach fields, whatever you want to call them. Right below that, you'll see a set of numbers, and it says, wait a minute, I got to get my magnifying glass, but it pretty much tells you what is being used with the arrow.
oh, 30 inches under road. Okay.
Yep.
All right, it's on there.
Yep. Wait a
Very
minute.
small.
My
I can
glass.
hardly read it.
Here we go. I got it. All right. Yep, that's where it is. Yep.
And that shouldn't take much away.
So 30 inches is a pretty good,
It wouldn't create
Yeah.
a road blockage.
right.
does that satisfy your question, Mr. Hill?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Mr. Santos moves to approve application 21-05. Mr. Hill seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it's a yes to approve the application, a no to deny approval. Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Santos,
Ryan Santos, yes.
Mr. Lenke,
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Krogel,
Mike Krogel, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Thank you, Mr. Rawson. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And I will sign the permit Wednesday, when I come in Wednesday. And you'll also get a letter, registered letter from me telling you what the commission decided.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Item 6, applications received after agenda posted, and we've got one.
yes, we did, but I'm not too sure that we need to hear this. Did everybody get a chance to read? I mean, I can reread it, or Terry, do you want to put it up there?
Yep.
This is the one from Valerie, and Valerie is here if you have any questions of her.
What am I doing here? I just have to find the right one. I've got so many screens open here. Come on. That's the memo. That's the meeting. I think it's this one. Nope.
No.
Nope. I'll find it.
All right,
You
well,
can
I can
start
start
talking
reading
anyway.
it. This was received after the agenda was posted, and the following is my comments on this application, and we're looking for a decision that residential RRAD, farm-based recreational activities, does not need a site plan approval by the PZZ. The applicant filed, no, that's
Oh,
the
you wanted your
application.
memo. I'm sorry. I thought you
Yes,
wanted the
yeah,
application.
yeah.
My bad.
Applicant filed an application. It was dropped in the Dropbox at 10 a.m. Friday. And so then because of that, it can be put, yeah, that's still not it. Because
That's not it?
No, no, it's the email.
The email itself. Okay.
Right.
That's why.
3 times the charm, Tara.
Yeah, I'll get there.
So she dropped it off in time for us to put it on the agenda for applications received after the agenda was printed. So she's requesting a site plan review to conduct the following on her property. She's applying for a special permit under RRAD, Article 4A, Section 2, uses number 8, farm-based recreational activities. In parentheses, she's put, although the use request has nothing to do with attracting customers to my farm, which is private. End of quote. In order to hold periodic course events to help raise funds for the Bay State Trails Raiders Association, a nonprofit group dedicated to maintaining trails and public lands in our area. And she would have up to 10 events per year, 10 events a year to be held any day of the year. So Tara and I had discussed this. The intent of the RRAD uses number 8, the recreational activities. And it is our interpretation that fundraising events do not need a zoning permit. Therefore, she does not need the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the site plan review. But I do want to say, in her not being able to give dates, specific dates, the dates of her events are determined by the following occurrences: the weather, bug infestation, and Thompson Speedway track event schedule. So I just wanted to let you know that we don't think she has to do this. So we're leaving it in your hands to see if you agree with us, because it's a charitable fundraising event.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, just to refine that a little bit further, I think what Valerie is proposing here is not a business model per se, and what we had put into the regulations for the RRAD was for operation, business operations within that district, whereas this is more of a private event sort of a thing, more of a one-off occasion, where I think Cindy and I agree the only permit she really needs is from the fire marshal.
Is she going to even have a tent set up, or does she even need fire marshal approval?
Yeah, you can ask her if she's here.
This is Valerie Clark, and no, we don't set up a tent or anything of the size that I think the fire marshal would be involved in. The biggest tent would be like a little pop-up tent. One of the.
I think, Valerie, it's a question of the traffic in out. The commission had an application over the fall for somebody who did like a pop-up vendor fair, and we had advised that person to go to the fire marshal just to review for traffic safety. I think that's the only concern.
For traffic safety, and was there a volume of traffic that?
No, there wasn't. No, this was like a 1-2 hour event that I had talked to the person who we're talking about, and it was like a 2-hour event.
Valerie, what type of program is it going to be? Like horse show, or is it going to be people showing how to train horses, or?
Typically what the organization does is they run trail ride events. So people come and park on the host property, and then they ride horses in pairs or very small groups around the property and on the trail.
Right. So right. So they're bringing their horse trailers. They're bringing their horses to the property.
Right. Right. And I believe I see the president of Bay State Trail Riders on the meeting with us. So if you have other questions, perhaps if that's her, she'd be willing to help you with that. But these are organized events that the purpose is to have money for the nonprofit organization that they reinvest in public trails. And that's not just for horse access, that's for people, pedestrians, people with kids and strollers, mountain bikers.
Valerie,
And
you want to share with them what you tell me about the funding from the states at this COVID time?
Well, and if Becky's here, she might be able to speak to that better than I can, but my understanding is that during COVID this year, that Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut have restricted the ability of organizations like Bay State Trail Riders to apply to use their properties for these types of events. And so that these organizations are seeking private landowners to help stage an area where they can do their fundraising, because the states are not allowing that at this time.
And so, Cindy, Tira, your interpretation is that this isn't much different than, me having monthly dinner parties or
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like an entirely private use, and if there is any permitting at all required, it would be just a traffic flow review by the fire marshal. If it's a lot of horse trailers, if they're parking on the side of the road, he might want review of that. But that would be the only permit of any type that seems applicable here.
Yep.
Well, Val's got enough land so she could park an awful lot of horse trailers there and not interfere with traffic flow anywhere.
Well, she sent a very, very, very nice, map of how she outlined where they're going to. Of course, I have it in color. You guys would have gotten it in black and white. I believe I attached that to the email too. So
yeah,
there's plenty
maybe.
of room there.
From any thoughts from commissioners at this time? Any concern about the interpretation of the ZEO or the planner?
No.
Which was to suggest she doesn't need this is all the review she needs. Is that correct?
Yes, she does not need to come back next month for you to review her site plan for this project. No.
I would concur.
Yeah, I didn't even give it an application number. Yeah, there's where all her parking, all that red marks where her parking will be, the trailers.
And I'll just say, I'm sorry, I'll jump in and just say that those red marks are the horse trailer parking. There are COVID protocols that have to be followed. There's natural spacing between horse trailers because of the nature of equestrian activities. There's 15 to 20 feet between trailers, and that this, I believe I counted somewhere around 25 horse trailer units that are identified here. We could obviously add more if we needed to, but 25 to maybe a maximum of 30 is the typical turnout for these type of events.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. If there's no objection, I think we'll thank Ms. Clark for her time, wish her the best of luck with this endeavor, and say that she has more than covered her due diligence with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Agreed.
Thanks very much. Item 7, citizens' comments. Certainly at this time, if any of the citizens here at the meeting would like to comment, you can indicate that in the chat function, or if you're unable to access the chat function, simply unmute yourself and request the floor. Ms. Clark.
If no one else has questions. I'm wondering, since the new zoning areas went into place and this special permit for agricultural recreation, how many permits, applications has the commission received for recreational agriculture?
None.
I was gonna say yours is the first.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from citizens at this time?
I have a question. In the packet, there was a note from not Janet, not wow, Blanchett, on the property on Fabian Road.
Yeah,
Is that supposed to be on the agenda or not?
Yes, it's number
item
A,
12A, Randy.
under new business, number A.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Thank you. Hearing no other citizen comments at this time, and I certainly want to make sure I'm giving people the opportunity to request the floor if they'd like to. But I do hear none at this time. So I will move on to item 8, reports of officers and staff. And we'll begin with the planner's report.
Just the 2 ongoing projects to remind everyone of. Tomorrow evening at 7, we will be reconvening for a special meeting to discuss the subdivision regulations, the definitions. Is there anybody who is planning on attending tomorrow night who does not have a copy of the working draft and needs me to email it to them? I believe everyone should have it.
Got it?
Yes.
Excellent. That was my belief. And then the other thing is last Tuesday, was it last Tuesday? Yeah, last Tuesday, the Board of Selectmen did open the single bid that we got for a consultant to work on the affordable housing plan with us. The bid came from the firm that I was hoping to get it from, so all is right with the world. The Department of Housing will approve a formal request to extend that grant award through the end of the year if we need it, since we got a late start. The plan as of now, unless I'm mistaken, and I think Amy's on so she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Board of Selectmen is going to formally accept the bid at their meeting next Tuesday, at which point I'll start formally assembling the working group and try to establish with John Guskowski, who is the principal in that firm, what kind of a calendar he'd like to work with. I believe we're targeting starting work together late March, which is only a couple of weeks delayed. Oh, I see a thumbs up from Amy, so she's confirming. Okay, good.
Excellent use of the Zoom reactions. Thank you. Great, thank you. Anything, that's it, Tira?
Of course, now I don't know how to get rid of the thumb.
It'll go away on its own.
There we go.
Nothing pressing, Joe. I'm just trying to, I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything that I forgot to scribble down, but I am pretty sure that was all that I had that was specifically relevant for tonight. So we'll go with that.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Pengasic. Ms. Dunn, the CEO memo, anything you would like to highlight for us that's not on the agenda?
Just that we had one home occupation application under the new regulations. And then I didn't get a chance to get the building permits and COs from the building office. I have 2 months worth, hopefully next month.
Great, excellent, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners for Tira or Cindy? And then the Town of Thompson budget reports. We have our budget report here. Mr. Rice is not here to comment on them, but certainly if there are any questions.
I just wanted to mention that we did meet with Orla on the budget last week, so.
Excellent. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, item 9, correspondence. There are 5 pieces of correspondence here. The ZBA minutes, a couple notices from the Town of Douglas Planning Board, the municipal practice group update, and the communication from the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding any of those communications? Excellent, thank you. Item 10, signing of Mylar.
None.
None. Item 11, old business. 11A, Brickyard Road bonding.
Haven't been out there because there's what, 6 feet of snow or something, or 2 feet of snow, whatever.
Yeah, well, when we hit 49 this week, you can and the
Okay.
snow melts, you can head out there, Cindy.
Okay.
Thank you. Item 11B, 0 Plum Road, Hal Merrick, Attorney Roberts' written legal proposal. If I'm correct, we have not received that.
Right, haven't received. We're working on it, back and forth emails, but nothing firm.
Great. Thank you, Cindy. Item 11C, approval of amended Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws. Tira, I don't know if you have this to pull up.
I don't believe I do, but I will look quickly. If it wasn't a part of the packet, then I wouldn't know where it was squirreled away.
It's part of the packet. Yeah.
It is part of the regular packet? Okay.
Yeah,
So then I will.
It's just one sheet, Tara. I didn't put
You
the
know what?
whole.
It may be a moot point if everyone saw it and doesn't have any questions about it. At our last month's meeting, right, we discussed potential amendments a little belatedly to the bylaws, which are reviewed annually. And the one change that was proposed was to add the words "and special" to cover all of our meetings, right? The hearing shall be conducted only for the purpose of taking testimony to be considered in deliberations of the regular and special meeting, as opposed to the regular meeting.
Okay. If it is in the regular packet, I am scrolling through if you want me to pick it up, but you let me know.
Does anybody need to see it? It was just that one page, section 8.
We're all section 8.
Well, let me go back. I apologize. I probably should have put.
So are there
I
any?
got it right here.
Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, I got it. We got it.
Any questions about the proposed change?
It's.
Okay,
You want a motion, Joe?
I would love one.
It's Article 11, Section 8.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mr. Santos, seconded by Mr. Blackmer, to amend the Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws as described previously. Any further discussion on the motion?
I just have a question about how this will physically be amended afterwards. Cindy, is this on a Word file or is this a
Yeah,
copy of PDF?
I actually did it. I haven't proofread it. That's why I gave you guys just one page. I actually,
Okay.
because it was never in the file. Nobody had a file on it. So I took some time the other day.
Yeah, we've got one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you will get it.
Any further discussion on the motion to amend the bylaws as described? Hearing none, it's a yes to amend, no to reject the amendment. Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, yes.
Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Krogel.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Plosky, yes.
Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. And that amendment is passed unanimously. Item 11D, Planning and Development webpage.
We put it in there, Tara, obviously, because she's administrator for the webpage. But one of the members, commission members had asked me to have it put on also the planning commission page. So we will take the zoning enforcement officer duties and put that on the planning commission page. I feel also, I feel it should be on both pages. Because if you look on the planning and development page, you have the director of planning and development, you have the CEO, then you have the Inland Wetlands Commission, and you have the conservation. I didn't copy and paste all that because I just thought it was a lot of stuff to copy and paste. But how do you feel about that, Tara? Leaving it where you have it, plus put it under the Planning and Zoning Commission, the CEO duties.
Yeah, because that is literally just a copy paste and drop it in. So take me 5 seconds.
Okay.
Right, and I think if it doesn't make the site bulkier, if people are able to access information in more than one place, it saves them a couple of clicks.
Yeah.
It does more.
Yeah,
good.
reducing clicks is always a good choice.
Yeah. Great. I'd like to thank the zoning enforcement officer and the planner for their continued work on this. Appreciate it. Item 11E, Bates Auto, Linehouse Road.
Okay, is there possible to put page 4 up of my memo, Tara?
Should be. Working this a little more slowly tonight than I usually do, but there we go. You want page 4?
Yes.
Right there. Here we go.
Okay. So, this has been an on and off discussion between the P&Z and the ZBA for a few months now. And of course, we all know how pleased the neighbors are around the area that the properties across the street from 64 Linehouse Road got cleaned up. But right now, I received a call from Attorney Cottonwire, who is on our meeting tonight, and we discussed the following. Attorney Cottonwire is now officially the administrator of the estate of Fred Bates. He represents the estate only and has no financial commitment to the estate. He understands the town is looking for the property to be cleaned up. He's had a few inquiries into what can be done on the property, and which would involve, if there's something that can be done with the property, they would obviously clean up the property and then reopen it as the business as a salvage operation. It is understandable, and I think the people he's dealing with understands that there's some delinquent bills to the town of Thompson, and they understand that this has to be paid up. So I feel that investigation needs to be done, and I did do a little bit today, especially on the non-conforming. According to the 2012, or even the amended 2020 regulations, can this business be classified as a non-conforming business and be allowed to continue? And then we have to see if there's any responsibilities to the state, and that means like DEP, and there is a report in the file on DEP. The state, the state licenses, and let me go get the folder and I'll read that to you. The application for the license, every proposed location of a motor vehicle junkyard is treated as a new location, irregardless of previous approval from either the local authorities or the DMV when ownership or location change. And of course, in this case, I believe it would be the ownership, and Ernie could correct me if I'm wrong on that. And of course, the local authorities must hold a hearing, etc., on the application. What else? Of course, they would, the business needs a state salvage license. So that municipal practice group update that you got in your email,
Mhm.
I mean, I read it, reread it, reread it, looked up state statutes. Yeah, it's interesting and it's convoluted. And actually, I don't know if you read that municipal practice group update that you got, but what was very interesting is the state took out 1455 and they just took it out. And I actually went and looked at the Public Act 03265. And before they got to what they took out, they had put all kinds of other stuff in it, and I'm reading it and I'm reading it. And of course that's the state legislator. I used to work up there and they'll just put anything in a bill. So it was pretty interesting doing the little bit of research I did. So I don't know if you want to hear Ernie talk, Attorney Cuttenwire talk, or if you have questions of me, questions of Attorney Cuttenwire.
So, I mean, my sense, Cindy, is that we're going to need Attorney Roberts to weigh in on this, right?
Yes.
No way
Yes.
we're going to be able to come to any sort of conclusion tonight.
Yes. I'm looking for my state statute book, but go ahead, keep talking. I can hear you.
Yeah, and so I'm just wondering, how helpful continued conversation about this issue at this point is going to be for us.
Okay, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was reading the state statutes today, and it was very interesting what it said about non-conforming, because this is definitely a non-conforming operation. And this is section 8-3, quite a few sentences down to the section. It says, such regulation shall not prohibit the continuance of any non-conforming use, building, or structure existing at the time of the adoption of such regulations. Such regulation shall not provide for the termination of any non-conforming use solely as a result of non-use for a specific period of time without regard to the intent of the property owner to maintain that use. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I thought that is kind of related to this. That's, just my opinion, not being a lawyer. So, but yes, you're right. Looking at all of this would have to be Attorney Roberts. But would you like to hear what Ernie has to say about it?
Yeah, certainly. I thank Attorney Cottonwar for being here this evening, and certainly any thoughts he has on the matter will be valuable. Yeah.
As a practical matter, and I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Dunn on a couple of occasions regarding this. The issue really is this has been an ongoing operation since, I believe, the 1930s.
Mm.
And what's happened is one of the owners, the principal owner, has passed away, but the permit has been issued in the name of the LLC, Bates Auto LLC. So the first question really that we've been grappling with is this a situation where there's actually been a change of ownership or not, since the ownership, again, of the permit is in the LLC, and the LLC, of course, has continued existence. So one question that we had was whether or not this actually is a change of ownership and whether a new permit is required. And then the second question that was sort of corollary to that was whether or not some change is necessary because of the fact that with Mr. Bates' death, there was an issue at the facility And there are some violations, technically speaking, from the point of view of the Department of Motor Vehicles as well as DEEP. And frankly, I think the town as well. So we're sort of put in this awkward position because the estate as the estate is insolvent. The only asset is the permit, essentially. So if the permit is gone, then there are no assets and there's nothing that we can use to get the property cleaned up. If the permit is viable, then there are a couple of different entities that might be willing to purchase, understanding that there's a pretty significant tax liability and there are some items that would have to be cleaned up. And all of those obviously would have to be done through the town. So the first question really that we have is it a viable permit? And to answer that has been what we've been grappling with. So the real question is, do we need a new permit, or is this permit still viable because it's the same company? And I think that's what we had talked about at a meeting a couple of months ago, in fact, a little bit. And we're still really trying to answer that question. Again, if there's some permit here that's viable, then I think there's a good chance of getting this site cleaned up. If there's not a viable permit of any kind, then, candidly, the liability passed with Mr. Bates. So I think we're looking at a site that's going to sit idle, unfortunately, indefinitely, and you're talking about a pretty significant tax liability as well.
Mr. Klutner, is this both sides of the road or just the across from the house?
I believe it's just across from the house.
64 Linehouse Road. Like I
Correct.
said, we got the other side cleared up.
You got which side cleared up?
We got 65 and 74 cleaned
Okay.
up.
So you're working on 64 now, which is the house side.
No, 64 is the business side.
You're going down Linehouse Road, Randy. It's on the left-hand side where the sawmill was.
Yeah.
That's the
64.
business.
That's the business. That's 64.
Is there anything happening on the other side of the road?
No, there isn't. And the reason why I bring that in is that we got it cleared up because there was some complaints, some serious complaints about the mess, how it was affecting the value of a piece of property next to it that the owner was trying to sell. And Doug Wooten came in from Woodstock, worked with Mrs. Bates when she was alive to clean that up. And he got that all cleaned up. So the property owner was happy, but what happened, I believe, and maybe Ernie can correct me if I'm wrong, and this is obviously before I got here over 3 years ago, I believe what happened is they just took stuff that they were getting for Bates Auto and just brought it over to that other side for storage. And like I said, Ernie can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody who knows anything different, but that's what it appeared to me to be when I took this on, when I came in, 3.5 years ago. So
I think I'm not saying this at all facetiously. I think it's a fascinating legal puzzle, and the kind of thing that would make me consider changing careers. But
You don't want it.
Right? Like, it's just sort of fascinating.
You don't want nothing to do with the scrap.
it was very interesting reading all that legal stuff. And like I said, working in Hartford and working on bills in the past, when I read that bill, I'm like, oh my Lord. So
yes, I really do think that it, whether or not, again, and not as an attorney, right? My instinct is that if a new permit is found to be required, we will not be able to issue a new permit based on our regulations. But whether or not that new permit is required based on that ownership question is I think not one that we're able to answer tonight. And look forward to that guidance. And
yeah, this was just for a discussion tonight, right, Ernie? That's pretty much you wanted.
Well, that's correct. And I think the real question is if it's a new permit from the standpoint of the state, then the issue becomes, does that have to go before the ZBA as opposed to before
Right.
you? And then we get into the whole non-conforming issue that Ms. Dunn was already talking about. And if it's not, then we would be before you, but it wouldn't be a new permit, it would be a continuation. So
Yeah, yep, you're right. Looking into it.
We do. Thank you, Attorney Cottonmore, for your time this evening, and I'm looking forward to watching how this all plays out.
it made me think about changing profession too.
That is so what I would like to do, because I made some notes Ernie was talking about. So what I would like to do is have a conversation with Ernie Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and then write up something very clear and legible for our town attorney and send it to the town attorney. Does that sound like a plan, everybody?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ernie, is that okay with you?
Absolutely. I think
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Item 11F, review of September 15th, 2020 amended regulations. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. I wrote in my. Oh, okay. This is wait a minute. I'm sorry. I just want to get things up on tape.
Yeah, December and January, right? Looking to address some of the.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My suggestion is to have a special meeting, because even after the three of us developed that list for the members to go through, there are still more things that could be added to it. My feeling is this should be taken care of at a special meeting.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dunn. Thoughts, comments, questions on that?
Just one, is there any urgency to the items that were previously delayed?
Yeah, I think there is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't point them out right now. I don't have, the document is somewhere in one of the folders. I mean, if you wanted me to go to the document to point it out, I can, but I think the sooner the better, yeah.
I think, Brian, some of the ones that were more urgent were errors of omission. For example, and I can't remember which district it is. No, I should be able to work that out. In one of the districts that we have sort of set aside as where we want to drive either mixed use or just general commercial development, retail got left out.
Yeah.
I think it was the Thompson Corridor District. So, you know, routes 12 and 131 outside the main core. Clearly an error of omission, but an error nonetheless. And there were a couple others like that. I think the ones where we omitted our intent are worse because the other conflicts that we have are conflicts with the subdivision regulations, and that's an ongoing project and a larger, that's my general impression.
So do you think we can just pinpoint a few of these tonight and wrap them up? I'm not in disagreement that the special meeting is probably the way to handle it, because these things take longer than we usually account for, but.
No, I recommend a special meeting, because if you're going to amend your regulations, you have to do a application and everything.
Yeah.
So I recommend a special meeting. And at the special meeting, you can decide what you want to amend, and then the application would come through at the following meeting, a public hearing. So
verbiage.
So if you want, I can doodle poll that to come up with an amenable date.
What is it with this doodle poll?
I don't know. But
It's a useful tool, brother. I use the best tools I have available to me.
Yeah, Tira,
I'm only pulling your finger.
I think that's a good step forward, Tira.
Okay, I will do that at some point this week. It may not be tomorrow.
You're trying to teach us old dogs new tricks, huh?
Well, you're learning.
Welcome to
Yeah,
2020.
thank you.
2021, right?
You better be the first one to reply there, Lanky, on the doodle tomorrow.
Go ahead, get smart there, 77 Hagstrom Road.
Yeah, you know what he's going to do? He's going to actually doodle it on a piece of paper and take a snapshot of me. That's what he's going to do.
Item 12, new business. Interpretation of amended regulations, Article 4A, Section 3, General Development Standards, footnote 2. This is, as Randy had referenced earlier, right? This came to us as a letter from Dennis Blanchett from J&D regarding some of their clients.
I can't tell who's got that background noise.
I'm not sure either. So Mr. Blanchett is here. If we've got any questions. And
Did
certainly-
everybody see my memo on this particular one?
I don't
So
think I
maybe-
saw the memo. I saw the drawing and the
All right,
letter from Dennis.
So can you put up my memo, please? That part of the memo, it's on page,
Is that the Barch memo?
yeah, 4.
Yeah, I've got it. Give me 2 seconds.
No, not the letter from,
No, her
from
CEO memo.
my remarks on my CEO memo, page 4
Okay,
and
all right.
5.
All right,
Well,
let me scroll
actually, just
down then.
page 5 would be fine.
Okay, yep, I've got it. Here we go. Oh, memo. These things move on my screen. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
That-
you got to bring it down a little bit just to get the top of page 5. Wait a minute. Okay, this is it. Yeah. Okay. So, so I put the chart up there as to the setbacks for residential structure, and then the requirement for accessory structure, which is a 2 footnote. And the footnote setback for an accessory structure shall equal or exceed that of the primary structure. I was asked to sign the zoning permit for a residential dwelling with a detached garage on 622 Fabian Road. Detached garage is placed 40 feet from the front setback, and primary residential structure is beyond the 40-foot setback. And as much as I tried to find that measurement on the site plan, I couldn't find it. So maybe Dennis can help us with that. The accessory dwelling is in front of the primary structure. I enclosed the plan, part of the plan. I did not sign the zoning permit due to my interpretation of the above general development standards at footnote 2. The definition of a setback is an open space in the same lot with the building having those minimum distance prescribed by these regulations. So I took the phrase minimum distance prescribed by these regulations for the accessory building is prescribed by the 40-foot residential structure setback. But with the accessory structure regulated by footnote number 2, which I interpret as the accessory structure setback has to equal or exceed that of the primary structure, regardless of the designer's front setback placement for the primary structure. That's how I interpret it. So the rest is up to Dennis to tell his side of it, and then for you guys to decide. Ladies and gentlemen to decide, sorry.
First of all, what are our options? Can we make a waiver on this if that's what we decide, or does it have to be sent
No,
to
that has to go to the
CBA?
ZBA, which he's already applied for that, and the ZBA accepted that at their meeting. I did not collect the fee because we didn't know what your decision was going to be tonight. So I didn't think it was fair to collect the fee, because if you decide in their favor, if you decide that my interpretation is wrong and Dennis's is correct, then he doesn't need to go to the ZBA. And we just wanted to make it a little easy for the applicant, not to have to jump through so many hoops. But he is, you know, scheduled to go to the ZBA for March for a public hearing.
But you said it has to, that we really don't have the authority to make a waiver for that, for this.
No, I would not think so. I mean, I once again could check with Roberts, but this is, you know, all setbacks that don't conform to the regulations have to go for waivers. So it's basically the interpretation. So maybe you might want to hear Dennis's side of it because you've heard my side of it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Certainly, Mr. Blanchett.
Yes, I had submitted a letter dated February 3rd outlining my arguments on this matter. I also looked at the chart that Cindy referenced, and looking at footnote 2, I interpret it thusly: the front setback for an accessory structure shall equal or exceed that of the primary. So the setback for the primary is 40 feet. Therefore, the setback for the accessory should also be 40. The interpretation, that the alternate interpretation that the accessory has to be equal or exceed the primary means that, well, basically, as I stated in my letter, you could never have a garage or a carriage shed in front of your house, which is very common in this area. So I think it's ambiguous language. I don't think we need a waiver. We're not looking for a waiver. We're just trying to see whose interpretation is correct, Cindy's or mine. I think it can be read either way, very logically. You can say it can be 85 as Cindy or 40 as I say, depending how you read footnote 2. I would just substitute for the number 2, I would substitute 40 feet, which is a setback for a primary structure. Again, and what I want to emphasize is that in my interpretation throughout the years, the setback is a fixed line. It doesn't vary. Once you set the setbacks for a given property, that's it. Sometimes you lessen them for an accessory building, but I don't think they're floating or variable. By Cindy's interpretation, the setback would change for every single lot, for every single way that they built on that lot. And it may have been your intention to put no buildings in the front yard, but I don't think it's clearly stated here. And also, it does conflict with the definition of setback, which is an open space on the same lot with a building. It doesn't say that there's multiple open spaces on the same lot. There's one open space. It's defined by these setbacks, 40 feet and 20 feet or whatever they are. Once you've defined that line on a plan, then the buildings go inside of it. So even if you interpret this chart as to say it has to be behind the primary, I think that conflicts with your own definitions. So we're not looking for a waiver really. We're just hoping to avoid going to ZBA, and you know, hope we'll get an agreement on the interpretation of this, or an acknowledgement at least that it's ambiguous.
I still go based on the clause minimum distance prescribed by these regulations, and the minimum distance for the accessory building is okay. Let me see what the accessory structure regulated by footnote. The accessory structure setback has to equal or exceed that of the primary structure, regardless of where that primary structure is set back at. And I just wanted to let you, the members know, the purpose of the accessory building being in front of the residential dwelling is because of the water and the septic placement. He can't pull it back any further than where it is, the 40-foot setback. So yeah, it's the intent, what your intent was for that regulation and accessory structures, if you did not want them in front of the residential dwelling? I mean, what was your intent? And if it's, this doesn't agree with your intent, if that's still your intent, then that has to go back for review.
Well, I think the intent was so that we wouldn't have a whole lot of house lots with an accessory structure in the front yard.
Exactly.
However, in this specific lot, unless, well, the house is set back from the road significantly. The accessory building would be pretty difficult to place anywhere so that you'd have access to the accessory building. Even if he went past the house, then he's going to be dealing with the driving over the septic system because of the right of way, the utilities right of way or whatever easement, which is going to be moved, but there's no room to get a 24 by 30 building back from the road from the house. Another thing I'd like to say about this property is it's kind of up on an embankment, significant embankment, and this doesn't answer the whether we what the intent was on what I had stated before on where an accessory building could be, but in this particular case, you won't even be able to. You have to really be looking for it to see it. When you come down Parker Road, it's still all going to be to the left-hand side up on, I'll call it a bluff. It's and it does make sense for it to be there. If he were to, I don't know what the material stockpile is there, but he can't move it very much closer to the house than the well, and it's still not going to get it back of the house and garage. And if you were to go beyond the well, it's going to interfere with the house. So anyway, I guess somebody's got to decide whether we want to, how you want to interpret that 40 feet. And I'm saying in this particular case, I don't think that there's a need to have it back there, but that's not our choice. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that'll be a ZBA choice, and I'd highly recommend we write a letter to them recommending they approve it.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Blackmer. Mr. Santos, you look like you wanted to say something.
I was just going to agree with Randy, 100%.
Yeah, just to add my 2 cents, I completely agree with the CEO's interpretation of the footnote of the regulations as written and as intended. And like Randy said, like Brian echoed, I think there are some really good causes for a ZBA waiver. But I would agree with the CEO's interpretation of these notes of the regulations as written.
You said CEO waiver, you mean ZBA waiver?
I'm sorry, yeah, I agree with the CEO's interpretation and think that it needs a ZBA waiver. Yes, my apologies.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hill.
I agree with the interpretation that the zoning officer made. And I think going to ZBA, I think there would be a hardship, a legal hardship, where they would approve this. I mean, the house can't really come forward without, if that's what the problem is the well. You got to have a certain distance. And I guess it's 25 feet, I'm not sure. But the house, if the house could be drawn forward. But then it would be, like I said, where the well is. The well's the
Then you're
problem.
gonna have interference with the garage that's attached to the house. Well, maybe not. Guess you
No,
could have
it couldn't.
access
You'd
from.
violate the side setback if that were the case.
Is everybody still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They're mulling it over, Cindy. They're being
Oh,
very
okay.
thoughtful.
Okay, right.
I mean, for whatever it's worth, guys, I do remember this footnote, which is included in every district, I believe, being discussed at some length. And that in those discussions, the intent that was articulated was the desire to keep sheds and such out of the front yards. And that was the language that was arrived at. I can see Dennis's point on where there might be ambiguity. Although I don't think anybody found it ambiguous at the time, I certainly could probably tighten that language up. But I think that the intent during the discussions when you guys had them was not casual. It was fairly lengthy.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Tira, and you know, again, as Randy brought up as well, that point of what
It
we-
definitely is in every district. I have the book right in front of me and I'm looking.
Yeah, and again, I think that was intentional. I think that was.
Why can't you have a garage in front of the house?
I think the confusion is the word building. Had it said primary structure,
Yeah.
having those minimum distance prescribed by these regulations. That's where the confusion comes in, or the misinterpretation.
Well, what was that again, Alvin? I'm sorry.
I said an open space on the same lot with a building. I would say an open space on the same lot with the primary structure having those minimum distances prescribed by these regulations.
It says primary, the footnote 2 says
No,
primary.
No, he's looking at the definition, Cindy.
Oh, the definition. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
I mean, building, yeah, that's a shed, garage, say primary structure.
Yes. Okay.
That's
I
more,
see what you're, I
that's
see
more
what
of a
you're talking
defining.
about. Yeah.
Dennis, would you think it would be clearer in that footnote 2 if it said front setback for an accessory structure shall equal or exceed the actual setback of the primary structure?
I think it would just be clearer to say there shall be no buildings in the front yard, or there shall, all structures shall be behind the house. That would be the clearest way. And I totally understand the intent to keep unsightly buildings, metal sheds, ugly things from the road view. But a lot of people have very attractive carriage sheds and very attractive garages that are designed to match their house, and for one reason or another can't go in the backyard. My client in this particular case stated, why would I want a garage that I have to drive all the way around my house to park and then walk back? So some people just like that aspect of parking first and then walking in the front door. So I think if the clearest intent would say
About a narrow,
behind your house.
we're talking about a narrow lot. I mean, if you had an acre lot, 1 acre wide, 200 feet wide, it wouldn't be an issue.
Right. And another thing I would think, maybe there could be a clarification between garages, carriage sheds versus accessory structure. I mean, separate those two, accessory from garage, carriage shed, because an accessory can be, like I said, an ugly metal shed versus a garage carriage shed, which is, more integral to the house and might be acceptable in the front yard. Just seems grouping them all as accessory structures is dragging in things that you didn't mean to drag into it.
Good point.
Well,
Dan.
Cindy, you can add it to the list of things that can be discussed, but it does
Absolutely.
seem to me that as currently written and constituted, it sounds like you guys all generally agree.
Yeah. Okay, any other further comments, thoughts on that? Okay, thank you, Mr. Blanchett, for your time.
Okay, thank you.
I will send them a letter, the applicant a letter, telling them the decision of the zoning commission.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn.
Okay.
Item 12B, Town of Thompson Sidewalk Project Discussion. Janet Blanchett, Chair of Mizrac Mill Site Redevelopment Advisory Committee. This has been the best substitute of this reading all year.
Oh, I know you're going to get sick of the Blanchetts here this evening.
Never.
Well, Tier and I are here, as well as our consultant, Yu Yang from Freeman Companies, just to, as an informal presentation to make you aware of the Riverside Drive Sidewalk Replacement Project. We'd like to hear your impressions, get feedback and your comments. So the Mill Sites Redevelopment Committee, we got a bar grant for planning projects in the corridor along Route 12 in 2019 for $187,000. And for $75,000 of that was earmarked for a consultant to design the replacement sidewalks. Where the project extends in the south from like Route 200 and the Belding Mill all the way up Riverside Drive to the sharp corner at Rawson Avenue. So that's over 7,400 feet. As you guys are all aware that the sidewalk in that location is in deplorable condition. It's not safe. There's cracks. There's no good ADA access. So what is proposed is a new 6-foot concrete sidewalk with granite curbs. Where the right-of-way is wide enough, the sidewalk will be placed, back up against the property line so that we can fit in a grass strip. Obviously, in the more developed areas, like in the steep embankment in front of the school, that won't be possible. So we're really excited about this project. It goes right through the heart of the downtown, past the schools, the post office, the town hall. There will be all, new crosswalks and signs. It'll be ADA accessible. And one of the best things about it is it's not really just a dream. It can be a reality because the town applied for a lot SIP grant for the construction and it was awarded. The DOT awarded $2.1 million for the construction of this project. So the design is about at the 90% complete point. So it is, we're hopeful that it will actually be constructed this summer. And I think Tira has up some good aerials that Freeman Company put together if you just want to see the project limit, because there are a couple.
Yep. I have a few here. So if there's one in particular you want me to pull up, Janet, let me know.
I guess if you want to start with sheet 1, that's the way they started it from north to south, and so it starts actually. You're on page 3 of 3.
This is